All right, Ron and I are back. Orlando OC Lions Fan TV and City Soccer Talk. We're previewing Real Salt Lake for July 4th, 2015. It's a late game out there, so hopefully all you watchers will, not watch fireworks and watch our game. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, Real Salt Lake is a decent team at home and a terrible team on the road. They're 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in their last 5 MLS games. They played a U.S. Open Cup game last night, and they won versus Portland 2-0. So they're coming off 3 games in the last 7 days. We will be the 3rd game. They drew versus Columbus. They're all home games as well, so good for them not having to travel. They have 3 designated players. Kyle Beckerman, the U.S. international, the defensive midfielder, will be away on Gold Cup. Yayo Plata, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and Sebastian Jamie or Hami, depending on how you pronounce it. He is in form since coming back from injury, 3 goals in the last 4 games. Even with their 3 designated players, the player that's most in form on their team is Javier Morales. He leads the team in goals and assists. Well, he's tied for goals now after last night. So he's 3 goals and 5 assists, and he is a outright number 11 striker. They kind of change formations, and they have 22 points, but 8th in the West. So with that said, we're going to jump right into Orlando City, and I'll start off with a fan question. At Millbones1 wants to know, what lineup changes will we see for this game? And Ron, I will turn the floor over to you.
All right. I don't think we're going to see many changes. The depth just isn't there at the moment. But you're going to see, you have to have a replacement for Darwin as he's off to the Gold Cup with El Salvador. So you're either going to see Amobi Okugo or potentially Lewis Neal there, depending on how Heath wants to set the lineup up. Neal offers a little more going forward than Okugo will, but Okugo is a more industrious defender. So I think being on the road in a tough environment, 2,000 miles away, I personally think we'll see Okugo, just because I think Heath will set the team up to draw first and foremost, and we'll go for a win if the game presents itself that way. Other than that, I see no changes. You're going to see Rivas, Ribeiro, probably Avila right mid, and the defense has no suitable replacements anyway, so the same 4 that we always see back there.
All right, and Millbones, sorry that there's not more changes for us to talk about, but I 100% agree with Ron, and I think that we will see Lewis Neal just because Coach continually talks about how the players love playing with him. I like Neal and Okugo. Okugo came on as a substitute and played pretty well. He doesn't offer anything going forward, as Ron said, but when he's back there defending and making clean passes, I'm happy with his performance and his style of play. Just as long as he's not turning the ball over, sitting there playing defense, I'm totally happy either way. I think it'll be Neal. So with that said, I mentioned Javier Morales, their most informed player and an outright striker. And we've seen some teams with outright strikers have some success against us. So Ron, what do you think we need to do to stop Javier Morales?
Well, Morales and RSL in general, they score a lot of goals from set pieces and crosses and long balls. So the defense is going to have to be good in the air. I said that against Colorado, and Colorado didn't really try the long ball, but Colorado was so dreadful. But as long as the defense communicates well back, RSL is not going to scare. They don't scare anybody. I think they've scored the 2nd least goals in MLS this year. So I don't see them scoring a lot of goals on us as long as we don't make stupid turnovers. So as long as we play tough, professional, don't turn the ball over, and exploit them when we can, I can still see us getting a win out of this game. It's going to be tough, but I think we should be able to draw as long as we don't commit too many mental errors.
Okay. And, I think Heinz and St. Ledger played pretty good last week, so I'll hope for a repeat performance of that. I think Tally Hall has continually played lights out since coming on, so I'm almost going to expect that from Tally Hall. I don't know if that's a fair expectation or not, but that's how I feel about the situation. Ron, do you have any thoughts or comments about the Heinz and St. Ledger pairing or about Tally Hall?
Well, what I like about Tally Hall is he doesn't seem to make the stupid mistake. At least we haven't seen it yet. I'm sure we'll see something at some point. But other than that, I mean, that's all you really want in a goalie. You make the saves you're supposed to make, and make a couple that you aren't supposed to make. And as long as you do that, that's fine. I think the difference between Hall and Donovan Ricketts was that Ricketts was never going to make the saves that he wasn't supposed to make.
Or the ones he was supposed to make.
Yeah, there's a few he could have done better on. But I mean, Tally Hall, he's a classy goalkeeper. We've seen that so far. We have nothing to complain about there. And you know what? Hines and St. Ledger, the results speak for themselves. I think that's 2 straight clean sheets. I think they have 3 clean sheets as a pairing on the year, which that might equal Collins' record with anybody. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with Collin, but St. Ledger and Hines seem to get the job done. So why wouldn't we have a ton of confidence in them going forward?
I mean, I feel confident in any of the back 3 that we play. I think it's a great problem to have. Most teams don't have enough center backs. So for us to have 3 that are, all kind of equal, I guess Collin would be a little better when he's healthy, but, the best ability is availability, and he's not always available. So with that said, we'll move forward. You mentioned that Real Salt Lake isn't going to scare us offensively and that they don't score that many goals. What do you think that our attack needs to do to open up the field of play, kind of like we did against Columbus, although versus their B team? I'm still happy with a win versus Columbus, though.
As long as Carlos Rivas is healthy and flying down the left wing, we're going to be able to open up almost any defense in this league. Doesn't mean we're going to score a lot of goals, but Carlos Rivas being in form, not only we know how much he helps Kaká. Kaká is a different player with Carlos Rivas next to him, just drawing defenders away from him, giving him more space, allowing for there to be some sort of through ball involved in our attack. So, as long as, Carlos Rivas is turning into a player that other teams have to game plan for. And if they have to game plan for Carlos Rivas, then they can't focus all of their attention on Kaká. And they'll end up having to leave Ribeiro one-on-one. So as long as we have an informed Rivas, which makes Kaká one of the best players on the pitch week in and week out, we're going to be able to exploit any attack. We just need to do what we do: control the ball, be dangerous down the left, and put shots on target. If we do that, good things are going to happen.
So obviously, I agree. After Rivas's performance in Open Cup midweek, I thought he was excellent. I don't want to go as far to say excellent, but I have no knock on anything he did. Sometimes his passes were not the most efficient, and I thought he had some great passes. Obviously, he had a beautiful goal, which was on frame. He really made me eat my words on that. I went on a rant last match preview about how he just kicks the ball wherever he wants and not usually into the goal. So, I'm happy to eat my words as long as he keeps putting him in the goal. And I think that we will do pretty well. I love Ribeiro's first touch. That's just me. And so we'll just I have a couple other fan questions. We'll maybe give Ron a general sum up, and then we'll hop into predictions. So at Pinstriped King wants to know what Orlando City needs to do to make the playoffs. So I think that we need to, number one, first and foremost, stay healthy. I think we, number two, are going to need to make some kind of move in the transfer window. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. And when the window opens, I'll be more than happy to talk about the transfer window on match previews. But until then, it's all speculation. And for those of you who maybe are newer to the soccer community, it's a bunch of rubbish. It's 99% false. So, we can speculate as much as we would like to about any player we want. But, until the window opens, I just don't follow the rumors. Wait to hear from the teams. When the window opens, you'll maybe have a little better understanding of what's actually going on. But to address the question, Orlando City needs to stay healthy. I think we need a little bit more depth on the wings, and I think we can't drop points at home. Ron, what do you think we need to do to make the playoffs?
Obviously, you're right. This team is good enough to make the playoffs, easily good enough to make the playoffs, especially since they now seem to be getting better game in and game out, where I thought they were somewhat stagnant in the beginning of the year. But I think the transfer window will be used to create depth, because like we just said, injuries are going to be the most important aspect to deal with during the season. So if you have some depth behind those injuries, then maybe it won't be such a big deal. That's why I don't expect to see the huge big time star come over here, because that doesn't necessarily help with depth. I think we could use 2 or 3 players. He said he wants one of each. He wants a defender, a midfielder, and maybe a striker. Obviously, he's not going to get that. But he did say in his last press conference that, Luke Bowden doesn't have a replacement. So we either have to expect him to go every minute the rest of the year, or we have to move Breck Shea back there. But if Breck Shea has to move back there, that's a domino effect on the midfield. So they definitely need some reinforcements. I wouldn't expect a huge $10 million signing. It's pretty unrealistic to think about that.
Yeah. I said last week that, Bowden didn't have anybody as a backup, and I said during the game on Twitter that we should have pulled Bowden just for rest purposes, because the guy's plays 120 minutes at Charleston, plays 90 minutes last week, is going to play 90 minutes this week. Like, it's just you just can't do that to somebody's body and expect them to stay healthy. So knock on wood, I really hope he stays healthy. I really love him as a player, and I love that he came with us from the USL to MLS and is actually performing on an MLS level. I think that that's outstanding, and I will use that as a transition into the next fan question from Edwin_Gunn. Wants to know our thoughts, or if we have any more information about the USL team. All I can tell you about the USL team is that what the team has announced. Polish Jr. will be the coach. I know his dad has some head coaching experience in the Premier League. I'm not that familiar with him, and I know that the rumor is that they plan to play in Cocoa at the State College, East Florida State College. Ron, do you have any other information that you could share about the USL team coming back?
Well, you kind of cut out. Did you say? I don't think they've confirmed where they're playing yet.
But I said the rumor is at the State College in Cocoa.
Yes. We had an interview with Tim Holt, the VP of Development, at halftime of the Open Cup match. And basically, here's some of the things we went over. They would prefer to stay within a 60 to 90-minute drive of Orlando, wherever this team is based at. But they're still leaving Orlando as a very real possibility. I think it's more of a fallback option, because I think they want to spread the fan base out, or maybe not spread the fan base out, but find a larger fan base by getting some of those casual fans on the East Coast that are between Jacksonville and Miami that don't really have a team to support. So I think that's part of it. The most important aspect of where they go is the stadium. It has to be a 5,000 seat stadium to meet USL requirements. So they want a nice intimate atmosphere. They don't want this USL team playing in the Citrus Bowl. It looked bad enough with 13,000 people there the other night. What would it look like with 3,000? So the venue will be the most important thing. But other things that Tim Holt went over was, he wants these two teams to have a separate identity. That's why I don't think you're going to see OCSC 2, or you're not going to see something very similar to that. He doesn't want these teams to, the MLS team's not going to cannibalize itself, but he doesn't want the MLS team to cannibalize the USL team. He thinks they both can thrive, but they both have to have their own identity. Other than that, that's all we really know so far. But this is just a natural step in the development for MLS teams, and it's not going to be very long before every MLS team has a USL team. It's getting pretty close to that already, and it did make sense long term to have anything to do with Louisville, because if you're going to send a player to Louisville, it's going to be on a season-long loan. You're not going to train in Louisville and then come back here for the first team. So other than that, that's all we know so far.
All right, and just me, I don't know anything about it other than what the teams told me. So you got a little inside information from Ron and that halftime meeting that they had, just based on pure me just being silly. I think that our team name is going to be the Sea Cows. I think that what you guys have seen on Twitter is going to be the crest, and for the Sea Cows, I'll just put it out there, and I'll say they play in Sebastian. So the Sebastian Seacals USL team. I mean, little population, probably no stadium, but Sebastian Seacals has the right ring as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, and so I want to thank at Millbones1, at Edwin_Gunn, and at Pinstripe King for contributing to the show. I really appreciate it. You know, this is Fan TV. Me and Ron provide this information and our opinions for you guys, and because we love to do it, but mostly for you guys. And so with that said, we will jump into predictions. You know, I was vastly wrong at the Open Cup. Ron was much closer. So I will go first, and I think that we are going to draw. Salt Lake only has one loss at home. They've only been held scoreless at home 3 times. So I think a 1-1 draw for us this week in Real Salt Lake.
Well, that's a pretty good prediction. It's hard to predict against a draw. RSL draws a lot of games. They're tough at home, but you know they have some disadvantages, like you said earlier, that they're tired and they've played a lot of games recently, and we're in some really good form right now. So I can see us winning this game. I have a hard time predicting a win 2,000 miles away, but you know we did it in Portland, and we went out to San Jose and tied. So I think we're going to draw also. I think it'll be a little higher scoring. I think 2-2. But we can win this game. You know, don't write it off as a draw would be a great result, but they can win this game if they get some lucky breaks.
All right, guys. Well, and now I think, you know, you guys know exactly what I'm about to say. You can find Ron at City Soccer Talk on Twitter. You can find his articles at citysoccertalk.com. You can find my Fan TV interviews from Tuesday night's game at OCLionsFan.com. You can find me on Twitter at the handle that's right under my magnificent beard. Yep, I just patted myself on the back for my beard because I love it. And other than that, that's all we got. Again, thank you, Millbones, Edward Gunn, and Pinstriped King for the questions. And we will address the transfer window when it opens, and maybe when we have a little more solid information. You know, I don't really want to speculate about the transfer window. I know you guys want to hear about it, and I want to give you guys what you want, but it's just so much speculation. And fun fact about Ron, I don't know if you know this because I actually just learned it right before we came on. Ron is a scarf collector, so you can sometimes see them in the back when he's there in that room, wherever that is. But he has a Real Salt Lake and an Orlando City scarf. So Ron, just do you want to tell us the story about why you have a Real Salt Lake scarf?
No, there's no story. I just collect scarves, and RSL is one of the first ones I ever got, way before Orlando City existed in MLS. So anyways, big game this week. Go Lions.
Oh, and guys, I just have one more point that I want to talk about. Kyle Beckerman came to Real Salt Lake when Miami Fusion defused. So he's been there for like 8 or 9 years, but he was an actual Miami player. So he is probably going to be the only Miami player on the field for a while. I don't know who else defused, but since it's on topic, I saw that in my research. I thought I'd make a funny. Sorry if you don't think I'm funny, but anyway. All right, guys.
Also, RSL has Luke Mulholland for the real hardcore Orlando fans out there. Luke Mulholland is a former Rowdy. I think he was MVP of the NASL, so watch out for him. I'm sure a lot of you hate him from the past, but anyways, have a good day, everybody.
All right, guys, there you have it. Match preview kind of silly this week, but we actually had lots of technical difficulties, so this was like our fifth try. But all right, guys, thanks for coming out to Gate C, even in the short crowd. I had some good interviews. Thanks for your questions, the 3 of you. I really appreciate that. We would love to foster questions, and we will be happy to talk about the transfer window when it opens. Peace out.
See you guys.